though loud and attention-grabbing, is structurally unsustainable. Authoritarian regimes built on personality, rather than principles, tend to collapse for several interconnected reasons. First, they are inherently brittle. Power concentrated in one individual cannot respond effectively to complex social, economic, or political challenges. Decisions made impulsively, based on personal loyalty or ideology rather than expertise, generate crises that even the most fervent supporters cannot indefinitely ignore. In Trump's case, the constant legal battles, mounting debts, and failures to address systemic issues like healthcare, inequality, and climate change are cracks that grow over time, undermining the facade of invincibility. Second, such regimes erode trust in institutions while failing to replace them with functional alternatives. Courts, legislatures, and the press act as a check on authority. They are not mere obstacles to overcome. Trump's attacks on these institutions weaken their legitimacy in the public eye, but they do not eliminate them. As long as courts adjudicate fairly, journalists investigate, and citizens organize, the underpinnings of democracy remain intact. The more he undermines these pillars, the more motivated and united ordinary Americans become in defending them. History shows us this pattern. Leaders who attempt to centralize power ultimately provoke counterforces that accelerate their downfall. Third, the empire will fall because it is built on fear and resentment, rather than genuine loyalty. Fear is temporary. Resentment is reactive. Neither creates sustainable political cohesion. When crises inevitably expose incompetence, hypocrisy, or corruption, those who followed out of fear or anger are the first to abandon the cause. The Trump base may be highly mobilized now, but as legal challenges, policy failures, or economic instability mount, fractures will emerge. Supporters who were loyal to the spectacle may turn toward pragmatism, moderation, or entirely new leaders, leaving the empire hollow at its core. Fourth, popular resistance grows stronger over time. Across history, regimes that rely on division eventually awaken collective action among the governed. The American people have repeatedly demonstrated this resilience: civil rights movements, labor struggles, anti-corruption campaigns, and grassroots. Organizing all reveal a consistent truth. When citizens recognize an existential threat to fairness, justice, or democracy, they act. Trump's theatrics may dominate headlines, but they cannot extinguish the Donald Trump presents himself not only as a businessman but also as a political leader who claims to embody the will of the people. Yet beneath the surface, his political project looks less like a healthy democracy and more like the framework of a regime, one where loyalty to a single figure outweighs institutions, laws, and equality. History shows us that regimes built on personality, fear, and division are brittle. They may appear powerful in the short term, but in the long run, they cannot withstand the rising demands of justice, equality, and accountability. Trump's regime tactics. Trump governs like a strongman rather than a statesman. His rhetoric often attacks the press, the courts, and anyone who challenges him, painting critics as enemies of the people. He elevates loyalty to himself above loyalty to the Constitution. This mirrors strategies seen in authoritarian regimes, where leaders blur the line between government and personal power. Chicago, for example, has often been used as a political scapegoat by Trump. He portrays the city's struggles with crime as proof that his hardline policies are necessary, while ignoring deeper social realities, disinvestment, systemic racism, and inequality. By exaggerating chaos and blaming marginalized groups, Trump frames himself as the savior against an imagined internal enemy. It is a classic authoritarian move: manufacture crisis, then claim to be the only solution. Why the empire cannot last. No matter how powerful Trump may appear, his empire rests on shaky ground. First, his business legacy is riddled with debt, bankruptcies, and legal battles. Second, his political brand is built on fear and resentment, rather than sustainable solutions. Regimes that divide people against one another cannot create stability. They can only maintain control for a limited time before collapse. Most importantly, Trump underestimates the resilience of the American people. The United States has seen leaders try to impose undemocratic systems before, from segregationist governors to corrupt party bosses, and each time, popular resistance and grassroots organizing pushed back. Trump's movement may feel overwhelming, but it is also polarizing. For every supporter who rallies to him, there are millions who see clearly what he represents. Not freedom, but control. The coming resistance. People will rise up, not necessarily with violence, but with the power of organization, protest, and the ballot box. We are already seeing it in the way younger generations reject authoritarianism, embrace diversity, and demand accountability from leaders. LT. The people will rise because they always have, from Chicago to small towns across America. The lesson of history is clear. No authoritarian empire survives forever when faced with the collective demand for justice, dignity, and democracy. Like and subscribe for Part 2.